The Season 2 update has brought about possibly one of the best close-range metas we've had in Warzone's history. This isn't an exaggeration because we have so many weapons that are so close together statistically and so close together feel-wise that you're seeing a wide range of use inside of ranked, inside of tournaments, and inside of public lobbies where you actually have some viable options and it's not just one or two guns dominating the meta. And in today's video, we're going to cover all of the best builds for the best guns and the stats to back them up inside of the new Warzone Season 2 meta. If you guys want to catch me using these guns live, make sure to check out the pinned comment over on Twitch. Okay, if you have any questions about controllers, builds, or you want to recommend future videos for this channel, let me know by clicking the link down in the pinned comment. That'll take you to my Twitch. Catch me live over on Twitch. Hang out with me there. You can catch me using these guns live to get some high kill gameplay. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. So this is my #1 recommended gun, and it is the AMR9, but I'm going to show you exactly why first, because the stats are a little misleading. Now, there's a lot of numbers here, but I'm going to make it really simple for you, okay? We're at 300 HP, we're at combination TTK, and this is, of course, courtesy of True Game Data. You guys know he's always linked in down in the description if you guys want to check out his site. These are all updated for the new Season 2 meta. Now, a lot of people are saying that you should not use the AMR9, and that might surprise you because you see the AMR9 down here on the bottom on orange. It's like the best to use, right? You would think everyone's going to be using this gun, especially since that damage range drop off doesn't hit by until 22 meters. Well, it's because of this. You can see here when I click the sprint to fire button, it sends it way up to the top to where, I mean, it's not up to the top, but it's getting beat by guns like the HRM9, the Striker 9, the WSP9. The reason why I still suggest rocking the AMR9 so strongly is because sprint to fire applies when you're going from sprinting to firing. But most players are using slide cancels, or at least in, some gunfights, they're using a slide cancel. And when we slide cancel, we go from sprinting to sliding and then standing up. And so we are no longer in a sprinting animation, and we don't have the penalty of the sprint to fire penalty, because the slide cancel negates that. So if you are someone who is sprint to fire or slide canceling a lot in gunfights, you don't necessarily need to worry about that sprint to fire. Now, obviously, there is COD timing. There is you are running, oh God, someone comes around the corner and you have to get the gun down. And that's why things like the HRM9 is still holding a very strong meta amongst the pros, where you really down to that millisecond need that. But that's where all these stats come in really, really handy. And obviously what we can do is these are building out these guns without any attachments. These are just a baseline weapon build. So we can say, okay, when I build that AMR9, I need to focus on that sprint to fire because that's where it's falling short. Maybe for something like the HRM9, it may have good base sprint to fire, but the recoil is a little bit tougher. So that's what I've done. I've gone through all of these. I know how they're performing in game based off of use. I know where they fall short in terms of stats. And now I'm going to take you and show you some amazing builds with all of that in mind. Okay, so as I mentioned, the very first weapon that I'm going to be showing off is the AMR9. This is my weapon of choice right now. When all else fails, I know it's going to be a super sweaty lobby. I need to lock in. This is what I've been using to hit top 250 inside of Warzone ranked. And as you can see, it's built a little bit different in the past, and we really want to make sure that sprint to fire is mitigated to where we can play aggressively with this gun and still take the advantage of the AMR9's really far damage range, because that ability to kill at the same speed at 0 meters, at 20 meters, is incredible and unmatched by any other gun in the game right now. So the AMR9 with this build is snappy, and it still has the ability to reach out almost the sniper support range because of the AMR9's base stats and base recoil control. Now what we've had to do is we've once again had to build for that sprint to fire. So what we've done is we throw on the DR hand stop, which is going to help out with that sprint to fire. The other big helper, it's actually a massive helper, is the Phantom Grip. The Phantom Grip helps out by 22% with sprint to fire. It's a must on all of my AMR9 builds. From there, we have the 50 round mag, the Commando Pro barrel, which also helps out with that sprint to fire as well, and then the NIDAR model 2023, because I really don't like the iron sights on the AMR9. But this is my favorite gun inside of the game right now, at least for aggressive in-your-face gameplay. Clean sight picture, manageable recoil, and now with this build, plenty snappy to use. Make sure you guys are taking a screenshot if you haven't already, and if you are screenshotting, make sure you are subscribing for even more Warzone content. Heading into #2, it is the Striker 9, and I'm not seeing this gun get enough love because, as we saw from the stats, right behind the HRM9 when you factor in sprint to fire, it is the Striker 9. and it has incredible damage range as well when we start to reach out past 30 meters. And for me, it has great movement and feel as well. So as you can see here, we have the Striker 9. It looks a little bit awkward. It's a little bit of a longer gun, but we'll show the stats here in a moment. It is still plenty mobile. Don't let the looks of the gun deceive you. You are able to move, snap, and fry across the map with this gun. Now, it has a little bit more recoil, and the reason is I've built this gun to try to make it as snappy as possible, because when we're going against things like the HRM9, we need it to be a little bit faster moving. But one thing I've noticed is with iron sight builds on these guns, it feels like the iron sights, I don't know what it is, and I've talked to some friends about this, even though I can have a cleaner sight picture with an optic on it, something happens with aim assist with iron sight build guns. I don't know what it is, but I feel like iron sight close range guns, I'm sorry to all my mouse and keyboard players, trust me, I mouse and keyboard mained for like 2 years. Something about controller with an iron sight SMG makes it sticky. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have the DR6 hand stop, because what we're going to do is we're going to try to make this gun as fast as possible. Even though it looks like a large gun, okay, it has a sub 200 millisecond sprint to fire, 97 millisecond. Anything sub 100 milliseconds is very fast for sprint to fire. And I try to get all of my guns at either 200 milliseconds or lower with ADS speed as well. But as you can see here, what I've done is I've built this gun to be as strafey as possible and as movement centered as possible, while still making it controllable, right? We still have the Zeman compensated flash hider. This is the flash hider that not only helps with your recoil, but also shortens your radar ping, so your red dot on the minimap doesn't show up as long. I'm still trying to make the gun controllable. If you're very confident with your recoil control, you could ditch the compensator for something like a rear grip to make it even faster. But this is what I recommend using, and this is my Striker 9 build of choice. Give it a try. Something else you need to try is number 3, the WSP9. When I die to this gun, it is so jarring. I don't know. I can run up perfectly, sprint to fire with an HRM and AMR, and just feel like I'm going to win a gunfight. And for some reason, out of all of this season, when I lose a gunfight that I feel like I should no reason lose otherwise, it is the WSP9. This gun, something about it. We know the time to kill is great, but something about how the fire rate works or how the multipliers work make this thing so jarring to die to, okay? As you listen, it's got a little bit of a slower fire rate. It's like as opposed to the Striker that's like brrr. What that means is, since they both have a 50 round mag and they both have roughly the same time to kill, since this has the same ammo capacity with a slower fire rate, it means it's doing significantly more damage per bullet. And the way you can tell this is you can go into the gunsmith, you can take the build, and you can see, hey, for an upper torso damage shot, so a chest shot, it does 46 damage. Now, compare that to the Striker that we were just looking at, and the Striker does 31 damage. So what that means is every individual bullet with this WSP9 is doing 15 more damage to the chest. And since the fire rate is still fast, it's not like AR slow or LMG slow, and the movement is still great, it allows you to put down a lot of damage per mag. It's not like we need a 100 round WSP swarm mag. We have a 50 round mag with the WSP9 that shoots, hits like a truck, is very strafey, and is even controllable at those long ranges. And when it's not controllable, guess what? You don't have to worry about it, because you don't have to reload every single gunfight, because it does so much damage per bullet. This is one of my favorite weapons to use inside of the game right now. We rock the Zeman compensator because we need a little bit more of that recoil control. We have the Hiss short light barrel, which is going to help us out with the sprint to fire, 75 millisecond sprint to fire. This is a snappy gun to use. Look at the tactical sprint speed too, 7 meter per second sprint to fire. We have the DR6 hand stop, once again helping out with the same characteristics that it's known for, ADS and sprint to fire. And then we have the 50 round mag, because it does so much damage per mag. If you're rocking the solos, I would encourage you to rock a 40 round mag, because it's going to help out with all the movement speed characteristics. But since I'm rocking a lot of solo quads, solo trios, and I need to get those thirsts, the 50 round works for me. And then we have the NIDAR Model 2023 on top of it. Heading on to number 4, it is the HRM9, but built for speed and purely for speed. The HRM9 caught some nerfs in the most recent update, but it is still very much a pro's choice. A lot of people are still using this as their primary weapon. It's known for that insane movement speed. It has a clean iron sight picture as well, especially when you go in and you select a camo that makes that iron sight post very, very clear and easy to see. It has a nice strafe speed, nice fire rate, very forgiving. And as we saw from the stats, it is truly the fastest killing SMG when you factor in sprint to fire. Let's say you're moving across the map and you're not setting up to clear a corner, because we know when we go to clear a corner inside of a game, we should be slide canceling for a variety of reasons that we've covered in movement guides in the past. You need to be using that slide cancel to be aggressive to mitigate that sprint to fire. But sometimes people just show up and we have to get that gun down. And this HRM9 is the best. It has some of the best base sprint to fire, and it has the TTK to back it up. But we've changed the build a little bit, okay? We are once again rocking that Zeman compensator for the shorter radar pings and the recoil control. We have the DR6 handstop for the reasons we've mentioned in the past. We've now switched over to the Thorn barrel as opposed to one of the longer barrels, because while those barrels are nice, we need a little bit more sprint to fire and movement speed to make this as viable as possible in close range settings, especially clearing out inside of Fortune's Keep. We have the folding stock because it has incredible recoil control. And then, of course, we're rocking the 50 round drum mag as well. But this seems to be what most of the pros are running inside of tournaments and inside of Fortune's Keep. And if you're struggling with recoil control, what you can do is you can swap the Thorn barrel for something like the long barrel, and that's going to give you that iconic growl iron sight type of build that we're known for. But just keep in mind, it is going to affect your sprint to fire. Okay, as we can see here, it's going to slow down our sprint to fire, and we're also going to lose some of the movement speed, like the sprint speed benefits that we would get from the other gun. So totally up to you which one you would rather rock. I like to lean towards the Thorn 90 and just know that I'm only using this gun extremely close. Just know that the bullet velocity kind of sucks. Okay, bullet velocity is only 450, so I would not use this gun at all as a sniper support, because that is way too slow for mid-range engagements. This is an up-in-your-face gun. Throw on something like the long barrel. I actually have a sniper support HRM build that we're going to cover here in a moment. So for me, this is speed and only speed. We'll cover an HRM sniper support build here in a moment. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have any suggestions for future videos on this main channel. This is largely guides, big picture guides, whether it's what guns to use, strategies for in-game, how to win gunfights. If you have anything that you've been struggling with in-game, let me know down in the comments below, because the game's in a really good spot, and I'm excited to share some of my knowledge with you and also do some research to figure out what is best for you. So let me know if you have any questions and we can get into it. But without further ado, the next build, the Ram9. Once again, I don't like gassing up new guns, okay? I think it is a waste of time for most of these new guns that come through the game, because they're not worth leveling up, and people like to hype them up because they're a new gun, but statistically they suck. Well, that is not the case with the Ram9, okay? You guys know I've been a long-term fan of the Ram7, and the Ram9 definitely finds itself in a great spot in the meta. And the reason is look at this strafe speed. This is unmatched. Both the guns, the BP50 and the Ram9, have come into the meta with an insane strafe speed. This is like OG, if you remember the FFAR with the Raider stock, how fast you would strafe. It feels like that fast, and you are going to help break people's aim assist. And obviously, in this incandescent lighting and inside of the firing range, and something about the engine, whenever you load into the firing range, even the gun appears shakier than it does in map. But I'm telling you, this Ram9 build not only has the great time to kill that we mentioned, but it also has this ability to strafe in and out of doorways and corners that you don't have with any other SMG in the game. And it makes Warzone feel even more like a movement shooter than it does. And since aim assist is as strong as it is, this can potentially break aim assist on people because you're covering so much ground as you're shooting. I mean, it is fun to use. Okay, so the Ram9 build that we have right here, we're throwing on the light barrel, which is going to help us out with more bullet velocity and damage range. But it also helps out, once again, for that ADS movement speed. We are building to make this build as strafey as possible. From there, we're going to throw on the ultralight stock pad for all the movement characteristics that we want. We're going to also throw on the edge hand grip. Now, the reason we're throwing on the edge hand stop as opposed to the DR6 is, if you look, the DR6 only helps out by 6% with our strafe speed, but the edge hand stop helps out by 8%. So we're just making this build as strafey as humanly possible. We're going to throw on the 50 round mag. If you are rocking solos, you could throw on the 40 round mag, which is once again going to help out with that movement speed, because as you can see here, we lose 5% of our strafe speed by throwing on the 50. If we throw on the 40, it'll get even strafier, as you can see right here. And I mean, that is just ridiculously fun. So this is what I would rock inside of like solos and duos. And then finally, we have the retort grip, which helps us out with recoil control. We could make our gun maybe a little bit faster with a laser attachment, but then I think it gets a little bit too uncontrollable. So we throw on the retort grip to help clean up that iron sight. and make the gun shoot even straighter. This is my Ram9 strafe build. For number 6, we are heading from SMGs to shotguns with the Lockwood 680, and this is the only shotgun I would recommend rocking inside of Warzone. First off, it is not a semi-automatic where I need to sit in someone's line of sight and just fire, right? That will end up getting you killed. The reason this shotgun is so good is even after the nerf, and they nerfed the sprint to fire, which is a big deal on shotguns, the fact that this gun can just do so much burst damage as you're peeking in and out of cover is unmatched. Keep in mind, let's say this guy has an HRM, which is the best close range weapon right now. You can just peek, throw a shoulder. By the time that you have peeker's advantage, shoot him and peek back behind cover, he's maybe landed 2 or 3 bullets and you just did a burst of 200 damage. So you can use that to just throw a shoulder and clothesline people. Now, I don't think firing range bots accurately depict how much damage you're doing. I think sometimes they can be a little bit weird with shotguns, but inside of game, this Lockwood 680 is incredible. Now, we've made some changes, though, to mitigate for the fact that they have increased the sprint to fire. More specifically, we've thrown on the DR6 hand stop. We know it for helping out with sprint to fire. It helps out here, but as you can see, it's 200 millisecond sprint to fire. So you need to be intentional about how you're using this gun. Is this an all-out best close-range weapon to use? No. But if you know how to throw shoulders and you know how to play with your team, or if you have multiple people on your team using this, this would get very toxic very fast. We have the DR6 hand stock, the Bryson improved choke, which helps out with that shotgun spread. The Lockwood Defender barrel helps out with our damage range. And then we have the sawed-off mod for that insane movement speed. And then the Express Light Bolt for faster follow-on shots. Okay, so those first 6 weapons were my up close and personal weapons. Let's cover 3 sniper supports that are a lot of fun to use. Okay, the BP50 we talked about in our previous long range video. I mean, this gun is great for long range, especially with the zero recoil build that I have. But you can also, just like with the Ram9, make a very viable sniper support build where you can reach out to those mid ranges that we know the BP50 is good for, but you don't have a super slow movement speed like you do with most ARs. You are strafing like mad with the BP50. So I'm going to show you my close range strafe build for the BP50. If you're interested in the long range zero recoil build, make sure to check out my long range meta video that'll be linked at the end of today's video. So the LHT 2000 barrel, which helps out, look at it, 11% with our ADS movement speed. From there, we have the Edge hand stop barrel, which helps out 8% with our movement speed. We have the Moat stock, which helps out 5% with our ADS movement speed. And then we have the Reliant comb, which helps out with a little bit with our sprint to fire to make this even more viable for a close range weapon. And then finally, we have the 45 round mag. As always, I suggest throwing on some sort of camo that when you equip it and you go to the preview, you see that your iron sights are changing colors. So I went ahead and selected a blue camo for a really clean iron sight on my BP50. But this is my BP50 close range sniper support strafe build that I'm having a lot of fun using. Heading on to number 8, as promised, we have the HRM sniper support build. And the nice thing about this is not only does it reach out to those medium ranges to help kind of pick up that distance of if we need a sniper at the super long ranges, this can pick up the mid range. The good thing about it is we already know the HRM6 is the best weapon inside of buildings. So you got to play a little bit more careful because it's not as sprint to fire as we're used to. But if we have that gun up and ready, it will destroy someone at close range. So this build with that clean iron sight allows us, like I mentioned, plenty of damage up close. As you can see here, it can also reach out to those medium ranges as well. And even all the way out into those distances, you could hear that was weird. You could hear the hit markers hitting, but you couldn't see the, as we know at this game, hit registration can be a little bit of an issue. You can still reach out to those long ranges and beam as necessary, especially let's say you hit someone one time with a sniper and then you just want to follow it up. You're able to beam out to those long ranges to finish off a kill without necessarily having to land your second sniper shot. So what we've done is we've made some adjustments, right? In the past, we would have thrown on a Jack BFB barrel, but the Jack BFB barrel got nerfed hard, especially the Jack BFB barrel now destroys your bullet velocity, which we don't want for a sniper support build because we need that bullet velocity for it to reach out to targets farther and feel a little bit more hit scan. So what we've done instead is throw on the sonic suppressor, which helps bring up our bullet velocity up to 700 meters per second. From there, we throw on the Bruin heavy support grip because since we don't have the Jack BFB, we need to control that recoil somehow. So that's what we've chose to use there. We have the long barrel for that clean iron sight that we mentioned earlier. The folding stock, as we mentioned earlier, has great recoil mitigation. And then, of course, the 50-round drum, so that way we have plenty of damage per mag for those long-range engagements. And then finally, what I believe is undoubtedly the best sniper support in the game, as we've seen from the bar graph, that AMR9 does so much damage at medium range. It's also great for clearing out buildings. And with this build, you have a clean sight. Shout out to my mouse and keyboard players. And you also have an amazing bullet velocity, because what we're doing is we're using the Nimbus integrated suppressor, which helps out with that bullet velocity of plus 30%, giving us 812 meters per second, which is really good for a sniper support build that's also viable inside of buildings. From there, we have the DR6 hand stop, which helps bring that sprint to fire to 150, which is solid for a sniper support. We have the 50-round mag, the phantom grip, which is 100% essential, minus 20% sprint to fire, and then the Mark III reflector, because as I'm reaching out to those mid ranges, I do not trust the iron sight on this gun. You can kind of pick whatever you want. I've started to kind of lean towards the NIDAR reflector scope recently. And as you can see, it is very easy to control, even out to those medium ranges. Honestly, at that range, you should be pulling out a sniper. Where you're picking it up and where it's really viable is inside of kind of that 20 to 30 meter range. And it just does so much damage. This is my favorite sniper support inside of the game. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our best 9 close range loadouts for the season 2 meta. If you guys are interested, join me live over on Twitch. I'll be testing out all these games, dropping high kill gameplay, vibing out with you guys. And of course, let me know either on Twitch or in the comments what videos you want to see next for first channel guides. If you guys are interested in coaching, me reviewing your gameplay, that'll be on the second channel. All of these guns racking up high kill games will be on the third channel. And of course, it'll all be caught live over on Twitch. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't got the long range video, that'll be linked at the end of today's video. A lot of amazing builds in there as well. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.